and welcome back to Nadya's Identity Files. I have with me the lovely Kimberly Kessler. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Wonderful. There's still a lot of construction action happening outside. People are like climbing fences and it's loud, so apologies if you are picking up on any of the noise stuff. So today with you, I really want to focus on your background as a casting director for dating shows. You've worked on The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, an NBC show, and a number of others. So, I mean, now obviously you're working in luxury real estate.
Yes.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that transition. That's wonderful. Do you ever miss working and casting for the dating world?
Well, the thing that I missed about being on dating shows and working on dating shows is interviewing people, meeting people, hearing their stories, and also, you know, setting people up. I mean, watching them fall in love, because some of them work. And but I do find that in real estate, it's sort of similar. I do get to meet people.
Right.
I get to hear their stories. I'm putting in their home of their dreams now.
Right, right. So in many ways, you were kind of like, you were a matchmaker without really having the role or the title. And you were doing it for reality TV. It's just so interesting. It's like, it's not like you were doing this professionally. I'm a professional matchmaker, but that was happening through your work.
Well, dating reality shows are very much like the modern day matchmaking, because basically there's a team of us and our whole job is to go across the entire country, find the most qualified guys and girls. You know, they have to, you know, be successful and beautiful and have good personalities and have good qualities. And then we match them together, and we put, you know, usually you put them together and hopefully they fall in love and they meet each other.
Right.
But they go through background checks. I mean, we are screening people like crazy. It's very hard to get on a dating show. It doesn't seem like it, but it actually is.
Can you talk a little bit more in depth about the casting process, like for The Bachelor versus The Bachelorette, in terms of like those steps that you had to take?
Sure. Well, The Bachelor years ago was different because you'd go and you'd find a guy to be The Bachelor. Right. Nowadays it's different. It's sort of changed because in order to be on the Bachelor, you have to be on The Bachelorette first.
Oh,
and
really?
vice versa, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
why?
just because, you know, America will fall in love with you and they want to see, you know, if there's a guy who doesn't get picked, they want to see him fall in love.
Right.
And then you have a guy and you know what he's looking for and you can go out and find girls for him.
Oh, wow. So it's kind of like from a little bit of a branding marketing strategy as well.
Possibly,
in
yes.
there. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, it adds that emotional component to it as well. So, I mean, a lot of people talk about these shows being all fake and, you know, contrived, but it sounds to me like there was reality to what was going on. People really were trying to figure out if they could find their true love on TV.
I think why people think it's fake is because, you know, the dates. He doesn't own a helicopter, you know? But, I mean...
What? What?
But at the end of the day, they have to fall in love. And you create this bubble, and it's all they're thinking about. I have actually made so many marriages, and there's kids out there because of...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that's the part that I miss, because that made me feel really good. Because it can work. And even the ones that didn't work, there were a lot of long-term relationships. You know, so, I mean, I would consider that a success as well. Yeah.
So, I mean, in terms of that matchmaking process, though, like, how does that work? I mean, how do you figure out, like, synergy?
You mean between, how do you...
Yeah,
well,
because you were saying you're making a lot of, like, marriages happen. I was like, wow.
I mean, I've interviewed thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
So, you know, you kind of get to know what people want, what they're looking for, who's going to work with who. And also at the end of the day, you find that these shows, you're generally not putting one person with one person. It's kind of a group of people, and they kind of find their way to each other.
Right. Gotcha,
but you put people in a room together that are going to be, that you think will get along.
Right. Absolutely. And on a not so positive side, of course, shows like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette have come under fire, especially by other feminists, self-proclaimed feminists right here, about it perpetuating kind of negative stereotypes for women and even not having adequate representation of underserved populations of people. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, whoever decides to go on a show, they're going on a reality show. So they're aware of that. And I think we find that a lot of the guys and the girls, they are who they are. I mean, their personalities come out. And it's like somebody who might be, a little more provocative on a show. They want to be on a show. Someone who's not like that is probably not going to go on a show.
Right.
So it's sort of like a smaller group of people.
So it's kind of like people need to have a certain level of self-awareness, not just those who are getting on the show, but even maybe those watching the show, And I think sometimes people forget, this is a process to make this show. It's not like, you're driving up behind someone's backyard and watching this go down. It's something that was plotted out. So there is going to be a little bit of a contrivance to it, not to say that it negates from the organic more factor of people having marriages come out of it and that type of thing.
Right. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can't make people fall in love.
No.
And also the one thing that you were talking about is how real is it? Women and men on these shows, there's helicopters, there's all these fabulous things, and that's not reality. That's not the real part. So that's where I think the difficulty comes in when people go back to the real world. Where's my helicopter? Where's my,
You mean so the guests or the show contestants, you're saying, after everything is said and done and they've been matched successfully, now it's where are these amazing dinners and helicopters? Because it's hello, you don't
Where's
have a crew.
my villa in the Bahamas?
You don't have a crew of people doing this for you. So
I
mean that brings into question is it the love of the attention in the moment, or is it the love of the connection with the other person? And where does the authentic self get? What happens to that in these types of settings? That's a really something to think about, but it's not just on TV, you guys. It happens in real life, too.
Well, I think that's also the problem with dating in the real world is, women watch these shows and they think, oh, I want him to pull up in a Maserati. He's not going to, know? So that's where I think women have such a high expectation. And then on the other side, men as well, we find the most beautiful women, and it's sometimes people aren't always that beautiful or aren't always that
put together. Right. And of course people need to remember it's on a set people have makeup crews, people have there's a lot to go into a big huge production like that, but I guess people, they really just do get lost in that moment.
It's almost like a fairy tale.
It really is. It'd be really interesting to analyze that from a fairy tale perspective. Paper idea. So let's talk a little bit more about those success stories that came out of these dating shows.
Well, it's the one thing that I loved about doing a dating show. This one show, it was called Love in the Wild. It was on NBC. It was 2 seasons. I don't know why it was canceled because it was amazing.
So why was it love? Were they in the forest? Or
yeah, it's sort of like Amazing Race for single people.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
And this one girl, I was in a restaurant and she was my waitress, and I was just talking to her, and I'm like, hey, can I interview you tomorrow? She said, sure. I didn't know if she was going to show up. She showed up, and it was the season 1 of the show, so no one really knew what the show was. And she got on the show. She immediately matched up with this guy, and they've been together ever since. They've been married. I think it's been 5 years. They have a daughter.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful.
And they're just so happy.
That's so great.
I think a show like that. And then season 2, I found the girl who won season 2, and she's married to the guy that she met, and they just had a baby as well.
What drew you to ask her to come on?
Just, personality. She was beautiful. Talking to her, I could tell she was smart. Just all the qualities that,
right.
you'd want.
Exactly. That's wonderful. Well, hey, even though the show didn't continue on for very long, obviously the relationship did, and that's what it's all about. So good for you for being the ultimate reality show, real reality matchmaker in that context. So when we come back, we're going to do, and thank you so much for really going into depth on these issues. Really, really interesting stuff. We're going to do a round table when we come back with Kimberly and Simona to talk more about these issues, identity and dating, online smartphone apps like Tinder, Bumble, all of that good stuff, and how that's impacting our dating lives. So stay tuned.